Okay, moving on. Our triad of music basics: drums, chords, and now bass. All right, so goal here. What purpose does the bass serve? How do we kind of define it? How do we come up with ideas? Very, very basic. Okay. So growing up as a bass player, I understand and I believe in the importance of a bass. If you think about the kind of power trios, our, Rush, Nirvana, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Green Day, bass is always part of that triad. We have drums, guitar, some of them are keyboards, Ben Folds 5, for example, and bass. If you look at a guitar is made up of 6 strings: E, A, D, G, B, and an octave of E. A bass is those first 4 strings: E, A, D, G, 4 strings, but they are an octave lower. So a bass typically has 4 strings. These days, more and more you see 5 and 6 string basses. A 5-string bass adds an even lower string, a B string, and that's actually because of how popular synths became in providing in production and kind of holding down that really low end. And bass guitars, stringed instruments, couldn't compete. So again, first 4 strings of the guitar, but an octave lower. The basic rule of thumb is that the bass plays the lowest note of the chord, which we call the root. So if we're talking about C major, the root, the lowest note of that chord is C if it's played in the first in the root form. So we want to play a C, but an octave lower. Real quick demonstration of that. If we take the chords that we have from our song, I'm just going to quickly duplicate this track. Duplicate. This is my kind of life hack on bass in production, is to cut out the highest notes of the chord. And let's just listen to that without lowering it. So really, that is just these roots louder because they're playing the exact same note as are in the chords. But now when I lower this to be F1 instead of F2, let's listen. Even as the same instrument sound of that electric piano, it gives us some richness, some depth, some body, so to speak. I'm going to play, change it to a bass, like a fake bass guitar. There we go. How empty it feels without bass. Okay, it's too loud. It's distorting. So again, the simplest way to think about it, basic rule of thumb, is that the bass plays the root of the chords an octave below. But really important to remember that when it changes from F sharp to D sharp, the bass needs to change to D sharp, and when it goes to C sharp, the bass changes to D sharp as well, C sharp as well. All right, let me delete this. I don't think I need it. I don't think. All right. There is also something to consider, a very important relationship between bass and the kick drum. And usually, or again, generally speaking, and rules broken immediately, the bass tends to kind of exist around the downbeat 1 and 3 in our measure. And it's often directly in sync with the kick drum. In that duplicate example, that's definitely the case. We're going to enter a bass part today, or soon, and it's going to follow the notes exactly. So what I've done is I've taken the bass part that we're going to do and I've raised it an octave so that it's the same as the lowest note of the chord. And I want to listen to that, and then I want to go in and I'm going to move it so you can hear. So it still has quite a bit of oomph to it, so to speak. I mean, you can hear it, but let's go ahead and lower it. And then you can really feel it. And it gives that richness. Now, I want to point out that you're going to notice something when I play with the drums, that this note, this one, is actually in front of, so let's see, not too easy to see. Actually, I think I can do this. Can I do this? Let's take our bass and make it a pretty color. Let's bring our drums back in. They're also a pretty color, though. I want them to be different colors. I'll show you how to do that eventually. Let's do this. Make this kind of darker red. And let's see if that does it. I might have to do some other stuff, but it's okay. Drums are probably going to... Yeah, okay, forget it. Okay, so you can see here, this is the kick drum, this is our bass note, at least they're highlighted, totally lined up perfectly. Oh, I'm wrong. So actually, this note is anticipated, it's not on beat 4, but we had that early kick as well. So actually, what I meant to show as kind of breaking the rule is actually maintaining the rule completely. So, you know, that relationship between kick and bass is real. All right, so this is basically what we're going to have in the bass.